Hello everybody. So tonight is all about Mr. Riki Buckingham. So hopefully he will join us very soon, and he's gonna play Love Train to begin with. So hopefully he'll be here soon, and if you wouldn't mind sharing and getting anybody who enjoys music to join us, that would be really ace. Hi Anne. Hi Michael. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a really nice evening. Really nice evening. So it should be good. Hello Riki.
Hello, lovely. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How's your day been?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah, a little bit of music on the street. It was very windy, actually, and I was getting a bit frustrated on the way home because, like, the wind was coming to me, and everything. But the music was so enjoyable that, it's
If I stay quiet and you
yeah.
do your first song, so welcome
All right.
Riki, and he's going to give us a blast of Love Train.
This is cool. This track. This is a sort of just a fun sort of a bluesy number that came out years ago, and I've sort of developed it, and it will go into a little jam section. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll try and keep it short. Maybe I won't. How much more, baby, can I take you? I just don't know. You've been fooling around for way too long. Gonna have to back back to leave. Well, I'm gonna have to get you alive. Gonna have to get you inside. Gonna have to. Whoa, sing my blues again. I left you down the river, empty my heart and soul. Got me rising high. Ain't no one gonna take away my love. They're gonna have to make our love work right. Gonna have to make our love work right. I'm gonna have to, sing my blues again. Oh, it makes so fast, so fast, so fast. I got to tell you, baby, be mine. I got to tell you, make feel fine. Keep on the train. Your time's coming, keep on loving. Yeah, time's coming up, don't you worry now. Ain't no stopping now, ain't no stopping till I reach my destination. Whoa, got me feeling fine. Back to the end of the line. Ain't no turning back now. Place we're going to, I know it's gonna be bright and beautiful. You really got me rising, just when I thought my I got to say, I'm thankful for this day and what you bring to my life. Never be kind of love. Gotta say, you feel like me. It's like I'm never gonna give up. I'm never gonna stop back. Never gonna give up. Never stop fighting for what I believe in. What I believe in. Yeah. I'm so thankful to my Lord. You got me going strong. What we got, we're fighting for, yeah. What we got, we'll let us How much more, baby, can I take of you? What a lot. Yeah, you got me fooled with your love, love, love. Ain't afraid to say I'm gonna love you, girl. Love you till the end of life. Ain't no turning back this time.
That was ace.
It's always a happy one, that one.
That's really cool, really cool. So, I'm going to start the interview. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What's your name and where'd you come from?
Well, my name is Riki, but it's actually R-I-K-I. I don't actually know the exact thing behind that, but I think my mum and dad just awkward. They wanted to be different and name.
Original.
Yes, it's a good. Yeah, not
Unique.
awkward. No, unique. That's yeah. But yeah, it's Riki Buckingham. It's in Buckingham Palace.
Hey. So what area do you live in?
Well, I'm actually in Kent at the moment, but I mean, I grew up in two different places. My childhood was half in Kent and half in Hampshire, which is really good actually because it gave me a good. I think the people were different in both places, you know. So to a certain degree, I could sense a difference in the population, you know, and I was always sort of like, why is my mum so different to my auntie, and what's going on there, you know? And it was good for me to grow up with two different influences. Yet interestingly, they all loved the music very, very much, and sometimes the same bands, you know, with all my family, they all like, you know, loved Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and all the classic sort of rock stuff, you know. So that was interesting. But yeah, currently in Kent at the moment.
So you've sort of touched on the next question. Are there any musical people in your family?
Well, I mean, my mum loves music and like all styles, you know, from sort of funk and soul to blues and all of it really. But she doesn't play anything. However, my dad plays piano, which I need to actually learn actually. You know, like one day I'm going to ask him if he can teach me because it's something I've just got to do because the guitar, I love it, but I can just imagine doing an album with just keyboards or just piano and voice, which would be really intimate and really beautiful, you know. So I'm thinking of doing that. But yeah, my dad plays piano and he can play guitar, and we used to jam a lot in like every time I go see him, you know, every week, like we'd just sort of jam, and he wasn't pressuring with me. He was just like, you know, let's just do whatever. Actually, I was the one who was annoying him. I was like, Dad, can you keep playing this bar chord? It's like, and he was like, oh my God, I can't do that. Like my hands hurt, you know. And I was like, come on, Dad, you gotta do it. It's like, it's like playing all these licks over it, and it was really cool. It's just he just didn't pressure me at all, which made me feel like freedom was in the music, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the way forward, really.
It is, isn't
For
it?
children, like to encourage them, but not to force them to do something that they're not wanting to do.
Yeah, because I've known people who've had that and it really put them off, you know, so.
But encouraging and you know, joining in with things like that is really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have your family that are all musical, you know. So
when I go to my auntie's parties and that, sometimes I've got an auntie in France who also plays like saxophone and flute and that. She's really good. And I'd love to actually get her on this album, actually. I need to chat with her
Saxophone's a
once.
lovely sound. It's one of my
Oh, God.
favourites. Like,
Is
oh,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I love the sax.
Well, I just love jazz. I don't know about you, but like
It's so like
sax and jazz.
relaxing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Mm.
So, how long have you enjoyed music?
I'm going to say something funny because I don't.
You surprised me,
Yeah,
Riki.
yeah, yeah.
You're always funny.
Funny. Yeah, yeah. When my mum was pregnant with me, she used to put headphones on her stomach, you know. So she was playing Led Zepp to me, you know. Like I think I just love that stuff, you know. Like obviously, but um, so I think that influenced me a lot, you know. Just having music all the way through, and like I just remember it all the time, you know, the 80s when I was a little toddler. I don't remember being a toddler, but I remember, you know, that it was there and I can feel that. That was a really good feeling. That was like a comfort and just a very healthy, expressive, exciting thing, often very exciting, you know. So it's everything really, isn't it? You've got everything in music. So
Yeah. Well, it's a full range of emotions with music.
mm,
You can put something on and it makes you feel happy. Put something on and it can make you cry, you know, and
mm,
all the range in between, you know.
yeah.
Um,
I've forgotten what that question was now, actually,
how long
but
have you enjoyed music? So from in the womb, basically.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh
Cool.
yeah, just and so much of it. I think like, you know, I'd listen to radio and then when I was like 15, 16, I'd be recording stuff from the radio. That was like John Peel. I think a lot of people remember John Peel's stuff, you know. His evening sessions and that were quite good. And he had eclectic group of styles, you know, there's some really good stuff on there. So it's funny because I used to come home from school, I used to record it and I had all these tapes and all this stuff that I copied later from tapes to the computer, you know. And I've got stuff like, you know, like the indie bands from the 90s, like sessions from Muse, Gomez, like all those sort of, what else, Radiohead, like stuff like that. That's really hard to find. So yeah, it's always a bit of an obsession, really. I mean, it's a shame in a way because I was into art as well, and I was really good at that at school. But what happened was I forgot to collect my artwork from school. And at that time, I was really embarrassed about going back to like get it. I didn't want to go into the school and like, I don't know, I just didn't want to see everyone again, you know? And I didn't collect my art, and it was like a A3, you know, like a beautiful landscape. It was like the seaside. I think it looked like Dorset or something, you know, like a beautiful coast with like these little stones and just cliffs and stuff. Anyway, I didn't collect it, and I think it's a shame really because I'd like to have merged the art with the music, you know, and like done the album
Mm.
covers as well. So it's nice to know there's something to go back to there with the art and one day bring it forward, and maybe it will sort of like the two help each other. You know, the art will help the music and the music help the art because it's all expression. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Maybe you can do some more art and or maybe go to a gallery somewhere and write a song about a painting that you get into,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
something like
yeah,
that.
that visionary art is just beautiful, isn't it? It's like you know, some of the spiritual sort of art. It's I don't know, it's so expressive and it shows me something beyond this world, which I kind of like, which is what I'm trying to do in the music, really, but in a way that doesn't freak people out, you know, which
Yeah.
isn't too sort of out there, you know. I've noticed someone sent a question actually.
Yeah, let me read it. So, Maureen says, do you know Rebecca Downs? She is one of the top female blues singer-songwriters, won many awards. You
No.
would be fab playing in the blues festival.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's interesting, isn't it? Like the blues, how some people they just feel it really deeply, and that's their sort of sound. And I think I've got a level of that. And I tell you what's really interesting. I know you've got questions to give me, but
That's
just
all
while
right.
I
We'll just
remember,
go with the flow, mate.
okay,
We'll go with the flow. We'll go
go
with
with
the
the flow.
flow. Yeah.
I had this dream, and it was really amazing. It was, I mean, I felt like it was almost like a remembrance of a past life. And I was in these caves, and it was really beautiful. And these caves weren't just like when you think of a cave, you just think, oh, it's pretty boring, like, you know, probably not a nice place to live, you know. But this was like in Africa or something. And there was like water features that people had done, and there was beautiful plants growing up, and then there was like light coming in, you know, like beautiful. Oh, it was amazing, yeah. And then my brothers and whatever, they would sing as well. So I was singing with them, and my voice was that soul-y sort of voice. And I swear to you that like this is why my voice has got that sort of sound to it. You know, there's a sort of African sort of there's something in me that's coming out, you know, that's from that. And I used to struggle with that because I used to sort of try and sing indie because this was the music I was listening to, and I'd be like copying the indie stuff, and it wasn't really my true voice. And I had this like battle inside, like with this soul thing. I was like, you know, like, but do people really want to hear that? And like, you know, I don't know. I was just fighting it, and now I'm not anymore. I'm just like, no, that's how it is, and I'm all right with it, you know, sort of thing. But yeah, that past life just absolutely. I mean, I call it a past life. It was a dream, but it felt like as if
You've
I
been there
woke up with
before.
dreams. Yeah,
Like deja vu.
yeah, it's
Maybe
amazing.
you should try and paint that
I
vision.
think you're right. Yeah, yeah, good idea.
Well, one of the friends that I've made recently, she does a lot of meditation, and she draws what she sees in the meditations, and some of the pictures she does are absolutely amazing.
Mm,
So that's why what you just said, I could see what you were saying as you were saying it, and I thought he needs to do that as an album cover.
yeah, that's a good idea actually, because it's about like it's the beauty. It's about the care, and I think that's what it is. Like they really cared about this place, and it was looked after well, and it was obviously uh, a family that would sing a lot. And interestingly, I think they had these hats that were like you know go sort of round like that with a pattern on, and then like different colours. You know, so they're very colourful
Like
stuff. So
African hats.
definitely was African. So. And I think what I'll tell you what, there's another funny story there because the other day I was busking, right? And I looked down at the drain, right? This is funny, and it said warrior on the drain. I was like, oh, warrior, cool, you know, whatever. And then I look up, and there's this alleyway, and literally in front of me, there's this black guy, like warrior, painting, like really, really big. And I'm just like singing while I'm staring at this picture because I was like drawing from that energy. It was reminding me of like, you know, my sort of warrior
Your inner
energy.
warrior.
Yeah, so that was really amazing that it was inspiring me, you know, just seeing this guy who looked like really in his strength, you know.
You're in the exact right spot then.
Yeah, so there's a theme coming through here, you know, but
Yeah,
interesting, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Thanks, Derek. You just said the sound's perfect, so that's really cool. Right, next question. What's the first piece of music that you remember? Obviously, you said Led Zeppelin in the womb, but what about after that bit? Is there
Uh,
anything?
well, you know, like I think I remember quite well like Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson because like obviously the Jackson 5 they were young and I was young at the time listening to it. So and I think it's really cool that someone that young had such a good voice and like the brothers of the Jackson 5 brothers, they had a really good singing voice as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the music was really good, the bass playing was really good. And you know, people sort of sometimes slag off that Motown stuff, but some of those bass lines are like amazing, you know, really good bass lines in there. So I think, you know, that's the sort of stuff that I really remember. My mum used to play a lot of the 80s bands at the time, that sort of age, when I was really getting into the music. and maybe I liked a couple like the. I don't know if you've heard of the, but who else did I like? I don't know really. Maybe a couple of Duran songs, but in general, I was like, no, I like this sort of 70s stuff more. You know, it was like that was the stuff that got to me. But there's one thing that I really do remember, and this is I was in the car and my mum had gone to like whatever, gone to the doctors or something, and I was like in there on my own, and the radio was playing, and "Sympathy for the Devil" came on by Rolling Stones. I don't, have you heard that one?
No. Well, I'm going to have to
You
go and
probably,
listen to it now.
you probably know it. You probably do know it.
I
And
probably may have heard it, but I'm going to have to go listen to it after this interview.
have a listen. Anyway, when she came back, I was like, "Mum, who's this?" You know, like I can remember that excitement in me. It's like, "Whoa, I've not heard anything like this," and I always remember that. So that was a real impact on me, you know. And you know, the Rolling Stones, they got a bit of attitude, I suppose, and that's influential as a kid. It's all those bands that have sort of got a bit of, you know, oomph in them that sort of get your attention, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you like to do another song for us, please?
Yeah, I'll just reply to this question here. It says, "Have you got an album out?" There's about 5 or 6, I think, on Spotify. These are sort of older albums, and I'd call them sort of what do you call them? Improvisation. Like most of it's improvisational, but it sounds kind of like it's together. But I sort of just improvised it, really, you know. But a few of the tracks are more polished. So it's a bit old, you know. So I really need to get this new album recorded and up there, because those things are from like 5, 6 years old. But the later album is more in line with what I'm doing now. So that's easy to find on there. Yeah, I've got a little list of songs here on my laptop. I'll just have a little. What should we do? We could do something.
Do whichever thing, what you feel is
Whichever
right.
feels.
Yeah, go with what you're feeling. Hi, I'm just saying hello to people as they come in as well. Hi, Sophie.
And some of these are like
hello,
unfinished.
Emma, and hello, Jeff, and hello, Julie. So if all of you wouldn't mind sharing and share the link to this live anywhere that you think people might like to have a listen, because Ricky's going to play a few songs for us this evening. So
yeah, cheers. Yeah, we'll put the link in like after this to be able to buy any of the albums, or links to, you know, the music on Spotify and that. But yeah, the other thing I just want to say is that most of these new tracks here, they're not really finished. I've got about like 2 that I call finished, but I've talked to other people about this, and they're like, "Well, when is a song ever finished?" You know, it's like. So I'm just sort of like, sometimes I improvise the lyrics, but no one actually knows that that's what I'm doing, you know. But that's good, because I'm playing it live like every day. I'm playing these tracks live, and then they're getting better and better. Like, and then over time, I'm like, nah, yeah, that's more the right words there, you know. So
that's the beauty of you creating your own stuff.
Yeah.
That you can just change it up as you feel. Where,
you don't have to
like when you're doing covers, it's harder to change things for covers. Because you've got to, I don't know, you've got to get all the rights and everything like that. So, hi,
Indeed.
Andy. So.
That's funny. Oh, I can see Andy now. Yeah, it's a bit of delay for me. So you're seeing stuff before me. I'll do this one for Andy, because
what's your song called then?
This one's called "Spirit of Man." And me and Andy actually played this the other day at an open mic. Believe it or not, there was actually an open mic on, which is
wow.
I was like well excited, because I just went out to like Tenterden, you might know it, in Kent, just to play some music on the street, and then I was like, oh, there's an open mic on, and that evening went up, and then Andy joined me and played on his drum, and then I met this great keyboard player, and I'm quite happy about that, because he was really good.
That's cool.
Anyway.
I watched some of that.
Hmm?
I watched some of that, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, spirit of me has taken fall. Right now I see the illusions of shadow. Spirit of me has taken fall now. Right now I see the illusions of shadow. Messages are clear. Follow your dreams and you never lose your way. Gotta say now, the seasons got to change. All I know is your life will never seem the same. I got set up, I'm leaving this way. What God will fight for this time. I got set up, won't you ever get out of your life? Tell your man, tell your body go. Spirit of man, just do what you can, just do what you can. Oh, Spirit of man, can you show us how to live? Strength inside our hearts, so real and true. Oh, Spirit of man, and you got what it takes to fight for your freedom and live our victory. The seasons got to change. All I know is your life will never stay the same. I got pain now. Won't you keep on going? I got to say, we got so much to fight for this time. Send a message to my soul. Wake me up, I got to really live my life to the side. Send a message to my heart. Chill out, mama, chill out, mama. Spirit of man, just do what you can, just do what you can. Oh, Spirit of man, just do what you can. I got to say, we got what you got for. I believe in the same. I can say that you really have to say that. Yeah, man, we fight for your truth. Never lose heart. We got this one chance. We got to fight. Spirit of man, do what you can. I thought that you could not see Spirit of man, I leave in the light that we got. Help us through this dark and night. Terrified I go. Yeah. We need your grace for the human race this time. Spirit of woman, come and brighten the way. Show us how to live. Truth inside our soul. I said, Spirit of woman, we need your love to uplift our human race. Yeah. Spirit of woman, they say, been a long time. Secrets of peace. I got to say that your love will be the same thing. Spirit up on my with a smile on my face. Put it all its place, it's high. Spirit up on my we need your grace. Help the human race. Gonna light it up my face.
That was really good. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
So some of these tracks are sometimes quite long, you know, but it's always been my way. It takes me, it's a while to get into a song as well. So, of course, for a single, you know, like usually shortened down. But I think what I'm going to do is have like short versions at 3 minutes 50 or whatever, you know, radio edits, and then sort of, or singles, and then album versions, which might even be different recorded versions, because that way there's a different feel on each song. It's nice variations, I think, you know.
Yeah.
It's my idea. But...
Can you share to your bluesy friends, Maureen? Michael wants to know, what venue or festival would you like to play in the world if you had the choices?
Just any really at the moment. I mean, I've done a couple of small festivals, but nothing really, you know. And I think for some of us, I think there's a lot of good musicians who are hiding, you know, and I was hiding for a long time and not really sort of ready to get out there and do it, you know. But I feel it's an exciting prospect playing at any of these. But I think that the more spiritually aligned places, you know, where they, what's the word? I don't know, where it's the music's coming from more from the heart, you know, and it's. I mean, the thing is, for me, it's like I've never really been into like new age music. You know, when you talk of spiritual music, you tend to think of that, and I think I want to bring in more of the tribal feeling into the music, so more of that strength, because I find that the new agey stuff is nice, it's beautiful, but it's quite ambient and floaty. It's not really got that, you know, that oomph and the fire that African music has, or that, you know, different cultures have in their music. So that's a very interesting prospect for me, to try and find these musicians who can really sort of, the music is sort of like an energy, you know, a very strong energy and a spirit. I believe we have a spirit, you know, that we all of us have a spirit. So my, for want of a better word, agenda is to try and bring that spirit into the music. And I think we all do. It's just that this is going to be more of an intention to do that, you know.
Yeah. I think
So
like the people that I've listened to recently that have really moved me and given me goosebumps on my goosebumps are people that sing from the heart or play from the heart. And I think that is what you're saying. It's like their passion comes through and it spreads the love as they're performing. And I think not all musicians have got that, but the ones that do, so powerful.
I agree, and it's all valid, you know, like all the different styles of music and all the ways of expression, you know. But it's nice to know what is your, you know, your particular way or particular, you know, path for it, you know. And yeah, for me, it's that, it's having that strong energy there, you know, that sense of power in a way. But it's not power as in, you know, power as in you want energy from people or attention from people so much. It's more that you want to just bring through something very true and very real. So, and I think that's needed at the moment, because there's so many people desperate for that attention that I think they lose the potency of the message of the music through changing themselves to fit in with the media or whatever it is that is going on there. And I wouldn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of, what's the word, compromise. Yeah, I'm okay compromising to a degree with things, but you want to keep true to yourself and your heart. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
So not to go too commercial and keep your
Yeah.
identity and your unique talent. Otherwise, it gets the power of your gift gets lost through
That's right.
commercialization, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say hello to everyone who's just come in. So hi Lavetta, and hi Jill, and hi Joe. Right.
Hey all. Yeah, thanks,
Next,
Patricia.
next
I hear you.
question is, what musical instruments can you play?
God, I wish I could play more. Just because it's so exciting, and I'll show you in a bit because I've got this lovely little recorder here, music recorder, and there's loads of tracks on it, and I love layering things up, and I used to do that a lot because I wasn't so getting out there playing music. I was more bedroom musician, you know. But and the prospect of being able to learn sax, well, like we talked before about sax, is just like, oh, like literally, I'm just like, I've got to learn that, you know, and maybe clarinet, you know. But at the moment, I can play the bass and the guitar and sing and just a little bit of piano-y stuff, but it's not enough to do what I want to do, really. So, and a harmonica, that's it. The harmonica is great. I love it.
It's got a nice sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
love
got
it.
a nice sound. Definitely.
And banging notes on them, you know.
Is there any genre of music that you don't like?
Well, I think if you're really serious about music as a musician, you should obviously take your time to try with every genre and get used to finding what you would prefer in that particular genre. Because I think there's something, for me, it's more about the people in the music than the style, you know, it's more about, and that's the thing, I think in a band, you know, a person doesn't have to be the same as you. They don't have to like the same thing as you. You just need to have a good feeling with them. You just need to feel good with that person, you know. And I think that good energy with them just creates good music, no matter what they like, you know. So, and I've realised that over time, it doesn't matter what level they are. I mean, I've played in all the open mics, you know, and then the gigs and all that, and it doesn't matter what level they are. If they're a good person and you feel good with them, they could be playing like two or three, you know, chords, and it's all good, you know. But styles that I don't really like so much would be, I suppose, I struggle with electronica sort of stuff. Um, I suppose because everything about me is about being as natural as possible. It's about the elements. It's about the air. Like even at the moment, I'm like, right, I want to open the windows more. I want more air. You know, like it's like give me air. Nature, you know, like can't stand anything that's sort of anti-life. You know, um, but you know, like bands like Basement Jackson, like, do you remember that Moloko? Bring it back, sing it back to me, and all that sort of stuff. There was a lot of stuff like that that I sort of like. Basement Jack's kind of cool. So there is some sort of stuff that's more, you know, in that sort of vein. And maybe dance music I've never really got into loads, but then again, there's some really good stuff there. So what don't I like? No, I don't know really. My favorite stuff is like progressive rock and jazz and blues, funk and soul. I even like avant-garde stuff. And I'm actually quite a fan of sort of brass rock as well. You know, when they've got the, you know, all the horn sections and all that, which sounds cool in funk music as well. You know, and soul and yeah.
When did you first start singing?
Well, I reckon my mum will know the answer to that question. Maybe she'd tell me in this. I think she's on here. If you know,
Lisa, can you answer the question? When did you first start singing?
I know I was singing around like 7 and 8 and that, you know, when I look back. And I can remember having this cool, I was always into like hi-fi, you know, and big speakers and all that. And I can remember my mum's boyfriend giving me this nice Sony stereo system, you know, all separates, like tape deck, you know, like CD player, amp and all that. And yeah, and I remember the tapes that I had were like, you know, the Motown soul stuff. So that's where a lot of that come from. I don't know where all these tapes and stuff came from. Maybe my mum's boyfriend gave them to me or something. But there was stuff like, you know, Smokey Robinson and the Miracle, what I called, I don't know. Tracks on My Tears and like, you know, what other songs are there? Sitting on the Dock of the Bay
Oh,
and
I love that song.
Sitting on the Dock of the Bay,
Yeah.
watching the sun go away. Whatever. Yeah, so all that sort of stuff. So I think I started singing around maybe 8, maybe 7 or 8, but Mum might tell me different there.
Bet
But
she'll answer in a minute.
I was always singing, but I think I went a bit quiet when I left my mum. I left my mum in some ways, I mean, when I was 11 years old and lived with my auntie, which was really cool. As I say, there was a difference with the two people, and it gave me a good experience of different ways of life, you know. And so although it was very difficult for me, and I think that's why I've got a lot of blues in the music, because you think of people like Ella Fitzgerald and Jimi Hendrix, he grew up with his auntie, you know, like a lot of these really good musicians, they had some kind of trauma that was difficult in their childhood. So
Like missing your mum's feelings.
definitely, I mean, you know, and I think it's good to be honest with these sort of things. A lot of people wouldn't, and yeah, I mean, that's I've done a lot of healing, you know, and been
Mhm.
delving into those things, you know, the trauma and things from the past. And what I've got to say is that it definitely helped with the music, you know. I mean, I can remember one time where um, I was really alone and my girlfriend was away at the time and I was just feeling really alone and I was smoking like loads of cigarettes, just chain smoking and uh, I don't know, something like watching stuff online all the time, just like wasting my time and trying to distract. And I'd seen this thing about rebirthing, about breath work and all that, something on TV or something. And I was like, oh, I'll try and do that. So I thought, right, come on, stop distracting. You know, I laid down and literally all this grief and all these tears come out, you know, and it was hard, but it was really good. And at one point I was like, yeah, but next door might hear me, you know. So I said to myself in my head, look, for once in your life, if you want to frigging cry, you cry, you know. And it was good. I cried for a bit longer. And I've got to say that I literally can feel now that in my shoulders, like the tension that I used to have growing up, and I had this until like, you know, 24 or whatever, that tension has permanently gone. And I can still remember how that did feel and how it feels now to feel like that. And the feeling after was like, oh, you know, like if I always imagine like if you go to like, if you went to Italy and like this guy was saying to you, hey, how's it go? Have a pizza. You know, you come here, just do what you want, you know, like there's no pressure. I literally went from feeling like someone who was very uptight to just like, ah. So that is why I'm like one of those people who's never going to be like, look, don't you cry, stop being a baby.
Yeah.
Because I know the power of that and that healing and what it's done for the music is allowed more. It's released this, you know, it's allowed this expression to be stronger. So I'm really, really grateful for those moments. And I think almost my soul guided me to sort of release all those tears. So very, very powerful, you know.
Better out than in, I say.
I agree.
One of
I
my
agree.
sayings. Better out
And
than
it is
in.
hard, especially I will just say as well, it's especially for guys because, like, you know, we've had that programming about just being, you know, like
Man up.
macho just mad up all the time. Um, but the thing is, you know, I learned that actually I became more stronger through feeling what I do. It enabled me to actually almost have more sensation, to feel more, to be alive more, to not need to like eat loads of rubbish to try and, you know, get away from life and to be very present. So part of my journey with this is about trying to get as alive and present as possible, and I believe that that will make the music more alive itself. So that's an interesting path that I'm intentionally following to see where it leads and what happens, you know. So that would be interesting to see.
I think you'll do it.
Thank you.
I have faith in you.
Yes.
So have you ever been in any choirs?
Yeah. So before I left my mum, I must have been about 10, 9 and 10, and the church is just not far from here, actually. So I think I'm going to go back there at some point soon and just sit in there a bit, say hello, and have a nice listen to the choir that's in there now. But yeah, I used to sing in the choir then, and I can remember actually the organ player who used to sort of be teaching us all playing the music, and then we'd be singing and learning the songs every Wednesday or something. And I can remember him saying about me not opening my mouth enough. So I think I was always shy back then, you know what I mean? Like, so it's funny really. But yeah, I went past there the other day. I was like, oh, it's really weird when you go back to like what seems like a previous life, you know. And I don't feel anything negative about it. It's just that there's a little bit like, you know, like, oh, that grief or that loss. But there's a strength from it as well, you know. There's a strength from, I think, those parts of you that you maybe lost, you know, there's a strength in that coming back, almost like a returning home, you know.
Yeah, like the hero's journey and returning home.
That is exactly spot on.
and also like going back to somewhere, and you can totally change the memories, because you'll see something that you thought was, and even if things have not changed in that place, you go back and you see things different when you're looking in rather than you're in it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can gain so much healing from doing that as well, you know,
yeah,
like going in as an adult to a
yeah,
place that wasn't as a very nice experience. You can go back in as an adult and pull out some of the things that were lost that are important for healing, you know.
yeah.
And I've done some of that work, and it feels really good afterwards. At the time when you're doing it, it's really, really scary.
Yeah, yeah.
And to do that is like, what am I doing? Am I crazy? Why am I even going back there? But sometimes you need to go back to unpick and pull out the root of the pain, you know, and it needs to be done sometimes,
Yeah,
going back, but you know, going forward and being present is also quite
that's
important
right.
as well. So
It's a mix of things, isn't it? You know, it's a real mix of things. I think there's a lot of power to be gained, you know, from all those things, you know. And for me, I feel so lucky because I've had a sense of feeling like a bit of a burden has lifted through it, which is why like I managed to like just get out there and do the music. I mean, I was in like a 12-year relationship like till last year, and she left for her ex and stuff, you know, and I never saw her again. I didn't even see it. Like she just went up north, and I never saw her again, you know. And we talk again now, you know. I kind of forgived and let go and all that. But in that moment, I had this decision, like I could go just like bitter, you know, and like be like, oh bugger this, you know, I'm going to drink and whatever, or I could go the other way and like forgive and sort of use it to make me stronger. And that was one of the messages here. So I guess what I'm trying to say with all this stuff is that like healing, you know, truly learning in life, all of these things are great asset to music. You know, they all bring a story that, although I'm still struggling to bring my story through because I've never been a storyteller, I've been more of just like an improvisational music person who can just make stuff up but doesn't really know how to refine and sort of like, you know, pull everything together, you know. So this has been the time to do that and think, well, what's the message for each of these songs and what does it mean? And the good thing is there's no like messed up intention, you know, to try and get something from anyone. It's all about just trying to let the songs be what they should be, you know, for the sake of the songs. So I think that's the way forward, really. They'll be what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Patricia, sometimes there are places you can't go back to, but there are things that you can do without having to go back. You know, you can do things through music and art and therapy without
That's
having
right.
to go back to the place or the situation. And stay safe is always one of the things I'd say. You know, there are ways of healing things through music, through art, through creativity, that you can unpick things that you can't necessarily go back to, maybe. Anyway, I'm not an expert, but that's just what I think.
It's good. I can remember when I was really, you know, peed off in the past because I used to have, you know, more anger than I do now. It's nice to be free of a lot of it. There's still some there, you know, but and the one of the albums I'm very proud of, I was very depressed at the time, you know, this is like 2007 or something. It's a very heavy one. It's called Looking Out From Within. And when I listen back, I think, how the heck did you do that when you were really struggling, you know, in life, and you managed to, you know, put this sort of album together, you know, and I just sort of like, that's really cool to honor myself, you know, not in a big ego way, but I went back and listened to all these recordings since I was 16 and like took it all, this was a few years ago, and like made an album out of each one, you know, and just, you know, honoring for what I'd done. And then I swore that like after that, everything I release now is going to be more finished before I release it, you know, unless it's just a jam. So in other words, I wanted to really work on something and make it a bit more special, like craft it, you know, with love sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like feeling like when you release it, it's more complete.
Yeah, because I suppose what I mean is that in the past, these things just happened. Like, you know, I was struggling in life and the music it just happened and I wasn't intending to do it. It was more like a therapy, you know. Whereas now I don't need it as much for therapy. It's just an enjoyment and I'm not burdened by the heavy depression, the heavy feelings, and I feel this lightness. And I think that's why I feel such a pull to start sharing this with the world, because when you have come out the other side of feeling all that low stuff and you feel bright, or at least you're getting some days where you feel really bright, you can then express things that are sad from a place that doesn't like dwell in it. Because as you know, I'm sure you know, there's a lot of music that's really dwelling in stuff these days. It's like, you know, and you're just thinking, it's really nice, but it's like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just my.
I think if you listen to any of my lives recently, I've been like, I really need to sing something new, and I don't know where to go with it. You know, because I'm not as talented as you to write, but I am thinking about doing it. But I don't play any instruments, so that's sort of like, you know, I can write a lot. I've written a lot of poetry, but
Yeah, cool.
I'm not like talented as you, so it's going to take me a lot longer to write.
Well, I think it's a
But
matter of finding your voice and finding yourself, and then it just sort of, it's like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon, you know, it's like, it just, you get more and more radiant, you know, and then you're just like, wow, what's going on? Completely lost myself in that one. And what the hell just came out? Flipping it, that recording's amazing, you know, like, did that happen? You know.
maybe it'll happen when I ever get down to Kent and we go to the woodlands and do some music.
Indeed,
So,
indeed.
have you ever been in any shows, like musical shows or things like
Well,
that?
I once auditioned for what was it? Britain's Got Talent.
Oh
That's not a
wow.
show, but I was really shy at that time, and you know, so they didn't get back to me or anything. But I think if I'd have been a bit more confident, that something would have happened at the time, you know. But other than that, I've just played a few gigs here and there, you know, I don't know, maybe 50, 100 sort of gigs over time. Had my own sort of band up north, and then we went traveling, me and my ex. We used to travel everywhere. Probably play another song in a minute, but I'll just tell you what we did. We used to basically travel in our tent a lot of the time, and we'd go into, like, you know, Canary Islands, Crete, South Spain, and that. It was really good. And I think we were just getting bored of like the same old thing. We needed a sort of change, you know. So I was just sort of busking a bit and whatever. And what I'm saying, we used to like eat really clean, you know. We didn't do what a lot of the other travelers did, you know, smoke and drink and that. Like, we were really dedicated to sort of like, this is a pilgrimage, you know, and let's see, you know, where it takes us, sort of thing. And my poor guitar, like, it's just got like, I don't know whether that comes from it, but it's just like battered from being traveling around. Because I used to sleep with my guitar like in my tent. I just put it by my side, you know, every night. And then I used to walk around in Spain with like the guitar like this and just like play it while we were walking around.
Wow.
But all I was going to say, basically, that last year I left in about September or something, crossed over the ferry, started cycling down through France, got a lift a couple of times, got a lift from Rouen, which is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful Rouen, yeah, city, which I loved.
I like
I got
Ron.
a lift into Bordeaux, which was really nice and warm, and then cycled sort of over the Pyrenees and stuff, which was like crazy windy road going up and up. I was like, is this ever going to end? It was amazing. Really difficult. It was really difficult, but it was also really enlivening, you know. And I was playing on the street every day and got a lot more confident. Um, and that's where my love for like being in the wild, having fresh air, and just that sense of being truly alive sort of comes from, you know. So I want to always bring that into the music, and nature into music as well. So
I remember you, like, when we first started talking and you'd gone off for your Spain trip and you did a piece of, I don't know whether you'd recorded it and posted it or whether you was doing it live, but you were sat on the dunes, and as you was singing and playing, the grass around you was blowing in the wind, and it was just like, oh, that's so lovely.
oh, cool, that's good.
That was really
Yeah,
lovely to
yeah, that's
watch.
cool. I'd love to do a meditation sort of album as well, you know, something that's a bit or tribally or something, you know. That would be interesting, because some of that sort of stuff comes forward, and it's a challenge to try and get a balance, you see, because I'm quite a lover of music that's quite off the wall, you know, like I like avant-garde and all that as well. But I also love, on the other side, like, you know, stuff that's got a groove and just funky and very the same beat, like almost through the whole thing. So it's very interesting to try and find a balance between the two, you know, not be too spiritual in your music that people are like, well, what, you know, it's too out there, you know, keep it relatable, but not be too boring that it's just so normal that, you know, that standard chords, everything's all the same. So it's interesting. I'm trying to find some sort of balance, you know. So it should be interesting to see what happens with it all, I think.
So you're going to play us another tune.
Yeah, what have we got on this list? Let's have a look.
Can you play Sunrise at some point in this interview? Because I absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
It was so perfect on my
Yeah, it's nice.
birthday. I loved it.
That's cool. Yeah, what I'll do a gentle one. I'll do a gentle one, yeah. This is actually, I have to tune down for this one. Now, tuning down I started doing for a while. This is Dadgad. It's a shame the quality quality's not amazing on YouTube, on Facebook. You know, it's
still sounds nice to me. I'm not an
I just love
expert though, but it does sound lovely.
I sort of fell in love with this sound, you know, when I was traveling, and it sort of has this feeling like as if you're in the outback or something, in like, I don't know, some beautiful massive landscape where it's just like peaceful and, you know, no cars and stuff. And that's, I really want to bring that feel in. So it's just so interesting, isn't it? Because it's like there's more to the music. There's something in the feeling of it. There's something that brings you to a place, you know, and that's what I want to try and cultivate. But this song's called The New Dawn, and I did it in Sri Lanka when we were there, and it was actually 12 minutes long or something, you know, and there's always different bits to it, but I can't remember half of it, so it just turned into a short song now. Here we go. Sing your song, have no fear. Bring it out so loud and clear. When the time comes, you finally see this was all meant to be. I know you'll find the truth wherever I go. I know there ain't no sorrow bring us out or make us blue. Sing your song, have no fear now, don't you worry, my friend. Bring it out so loud and clear. When the time comes, you'll finally see what there's hoping for. I know you'll find the truth once more. Wherever I go, I know there ain't no sorrow can bring us out or make us blue. Nah, I said you can make us blue. Yeah. Follow me up, I got you, let my spirit ride. I said, follow me up, I got you, let my feet slide. I know that I'll be waiting, and the new dawn will be waiting for you to come along right till the party. Yeah, yeah, I got to say now, follow me up, I got you, let my feet slide. Been a long time coming, but I just feel the way through this hell. I got to say, we'll be waiting in the new dawn. We'll be waiting for you to come along right to the party. Sing your song, have no fear. Bring it out so loud and clear. When the time comes, you'll finally see it comes your destiny. I know you'll find the truth you see. And wherever you go, I know there ain't no sorrow could bring it down or make you blue. Love.
along, don't you worry, no, no. Now the time is drawing near. I said, when the time comes, you'll finally see this was all meant to be. I know your mind, the truth you see. Wherever I go, I know there ain't no sorrow. You bring us down, won't make us blue. You can't, I said you can't make us blue now. Mommy, I'm back at you, let my spirit fly. Say yeah, you don't need me. Come and brighten up my daylight. We'll be waiting in the new dawn. You to come along and brighten up my day. When the time comes, you'll finally see. This has been a beautiful journey. Are you ready? Yeah, yeah. I said, we'll be waiting in the new dawn for you to come along and brighten up our day. Oh, sing a song, have no fear. I got to say, we're grateful for this day. There you go.
Woohoo! That's so good. I'm gonna just a whole load of new people's just come in, so I'm just gonna say hello to Jane and hello to Susie and hello to Suzanne.
Hey,
Welcome,
Jane.
welcome, and share the link, please.
Yeah, please
To
do.
get some more people on. I told you it was gonna be good.
It is, yes. I know.
Yeah,
Thank you
my
very much.
friends just said wow. My friend from the choir just said wow, and I said, that's why I said I told you it was going to be good, because I was telling everyone, you got to come and watch Riki. Really good.
Thank you.
Very good.
The song is, when it's finished, you know, because these lyrics are just sort of halfway there, about our ancestors, you know, it's about our ancestors. It's meant to be about our ancestors saying they're with us, you know, and that we'll be waiting in the new dawn for you to come along and brighten up our day. So in other words, they're saying that, you know, we miss you, but we know when the time is right, you'll come back, and that just your presence, just your being, just who you are, as you are, is enough, and we'll be grateful, so grateful to see you, and you'll brighten up our day. So,
Wow.
yeah, there's something really, I think I need to spend some time in nature and just like sit by a tree and just really feel into, you know, what is it with that, and what are the ancestors saying? Because I feel like that is the work that I want to do, try and connect with my ancestors in spirit, you know, and sort of, you know, whether that's just imagination or whether it truly is. I'm sure it feels like it is my ancestors, you know, and they want to bring that message through, not just to me, but it reminds me when I sing it, reminds me that they're there, but to remind other people that we're not alone, to give that message of hope, you know. And I think that's what, for some of us, that's a responsibility as a musician, especially those who get somewhere with their music. They do have a responsibility to make sure that what they're putting out, you know, has some form of integrity or some form of, you know, to really think about what they're putting out there, I think, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
That's a lovely
I'll
song.
just sing
I really enjoyed that. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Really, really nice. So, how do you think music can affect health?
Wow.
Big question.
I think there's studies on it, isn't there, that actually say that, you know, I mean, forget the studies actually. What I personally feel is that it affects the organs in the body, and that, you know, I think that all the organs in our body are very, very sensitive, and this is why I've been doing what I have with the food, you know, like trying to eat. And I'm not saying one thing's right or one thing's wrong with food. It's whatever's right for you, you know. But to find that, to be have that radiance about you, and to have that energy is what I plan to do, you know. So it's like um, I'm trying to use the music and the food and all these different things to have health, you know, to at least feel alive, you know. But I think that music, whether it's a positive feeling, whether it's something that's uplifting you, or whether it's helping you release your grief or pain and helping you have a cry, or whatever it is, I think both things are absolutely valid. And I just strongly believe that people who have, you know, depression or pain or difficult things like that, music is so healing for that. Even if it just shifts them out of the feelings and into a great space, or whether it helps them purge, both of those are really things. And on a deeper level, I mean, I think that us being made up of water and all that, and how sound if can affect water, it can affect the water in our body. The vibration itself affect the body. So I'm very interested in that, and would like to do sound healing at some point. You know, I want to get some crystal bowls. Actually, I know this guy called Frank Perry, who's a friend of mine. My friend's father, who actually played in a band with Paul Kossoff from Free. I don't know if you know. All right now, baby, it's a all right.
I know that song.
Anyway, he's got these Tibetan bowls. He's a really good guy, and they're probably like 200 quid. But you know, you do that.
Ricky, I've got one. I'll bring it with me when I come down.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
And
That's good.
I've had an experience at my camp with a guy that had a whole load of all different sizes, and
Wow.
it it released so much. It's
But
like,
it's funny as you say, because I could sense your energy. You just looked like you've come alive when you said about the Tibetan bowl, so I knew there's something good there going on. That's good.
yeah, that was like, wow. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then I didn't know I inherited this bowl, and then I found out more about them, and apparently there was they were hidden. A lot of them were hidden because they were trying to get them out when the wars were going on over that area. So a lot of them were hidden and have turned up places to keep them alive, like keep them safe. And this one bowl was in Nick's mum's house, and I recognised it.
That's amazing.
As a bowl, like singing bowl from this experience at my camp. And I was like, can I keep that? Can that be one of the things I keep from the house? And so it's in my van.
Oh, so good.
It's one of my special things. Yeah. So I'll bring it down when I come down to visit.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sorry, like this all just came out.
Good. Express yourself.
Yeah, we're flowing.
Express yourself. Do you know one?
Yeah. So on the next bit is, how do you use music for healing? Hello, Jenny.
Similar to the last question, but
yeah.
But for me, you know, for my life, do you mean? Or
yeah. Hi, Marjorie.
Well, you mean just like to just help my life? You mean, sort of thing?
Well, I'm thinking like, how are you With your particular lifestyle, how are you using music for healing? You know,
Well,
for yourself and for the world and for other people, sort of thing.
yeah, I mean, I think just naturally, I mean, when I'm playing on the street a lot, you know, and I think with this COVID thing, I can feel it some days, you know, I can feel that low energy, that sort of fear and you know, of course, there's some smiles on people's faces here and there, but I do sense a general sort of uh, maybe a resignation, maybe a sort of, I don't know. I mean, I've always felt this with England. There's a little bit of a lack of fire sometimes in people, you know, we need to have a bit more of that. Let's do something, let's rise up and do something, you know. Um, but when I'm singing on the street, I'm trying to really just keep that in mind, you know, and I think a lot of people are feeling positive from it. You know, they're feeling something from it. Especially the kids. Actually, they like it a lot. You know, they come by and they enjoy it a lot. And I think that just shows how sometimes adults we're very sort of caught in what we're trying to do today, and it like narrow. It's like a narrow-minded sort of, which is all right, but you know, people have got to get on with stuff. But the kids are sort of more like, hey, what's going on? What's this? You know, this is a bit different. So, and I feel when you say about music and healing, I feel like for me, I've learned that both go side by side. So I've found that because I'm very into healing, by the way, and I will be helping some people with things, you know, and that's not just like difficult life experiences and stuff, but it's also about you know food and helping them find a way through addictions and things, you know, stuff like that. So I feel what I learned recently was that both go hand in hand, and like I can't just do music and forget healing because it's like it would just be music without any depth because it would just be like, oh, I'm just going through the motion, playing the same song again. It's like I need that healing element. And when I've noticed when I am being more authentic or when I'm speaking my truth or, you know, when I've had a cry or when I've had a laugh or, you know, been more in touch with what I feel, which is like, you know, I come to hear when I say it's, you know, the heart, and breathing, you know, and allowing yourself to actually be present and not so much in this thing, you know, it's like I mean, you know about that, you know, like I've had this thing like go on and on about stuff and I'm just like, oh, you know, like completely caught in it, whether that was like in the past with relationship, like, oh, you know, in the beginning of my relationship, like, oh, she's gonna go off with someone else or anything, or whether it's like, you know, you're playing music somewhere, it's like, oh, do they really want to hear you? You know. I'll tell you a story about that actually. Like I was down in France with my ex, and we went to this lovely little place. It was what was it called? It had the name Seoul in it. The village, you know, something Seoul. Anyway, and it was like this sort of very small area where there's like cafes and then a church behind and a couple of cafes there. And like Katie said to me, "Oh, why don't you just play something here?" You know, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And anyway, I sat down on these steps and started playing. And then this lady comes across and she was like, "Oh, it's really good. Can I video you?" You know. And then the people in the cafe are watching, and there's me thinking, "Oh, they'd be pissed off, you know, at me, like in their space, you know." And they're like, "Oh, I'm enjoying this, you know." And then I'm sat on these steps, and all these kids, like, they come to sit next to me because this teacher brings all these children, you know, to sit next to me. So I'm like, "All right, I better play something now," you know. And it was just so cool because it was like, there's me inside. My thoughts are telling me like, "Oh, no one wants to hear this, you know, why don't you just sort of bugger off, you know, like." And then it turns out like they end up wanting me to play in the church, you know, behind, and they're like, "Oh, would you be, if you want to come back later and like play in the church, go ahead," you know, sort of thing. So it was that moment I was like, I need to stop listening to this and start listening to my heart and like, you know, and be followed by intuition, you know, rather than the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's, I do trust and believe in that quite strongly, really, that intuition. Whether it's like today I should go out for a long walk, or whether it's like today I should stop eating a certain thing and have something else, or you know, like whatever it is you feel you need to do, and that's it's like our inner guidance system, you know, and I think it will guide us through any troubles, any difficulties, and move forward. So there's a positive message in that of hope, and I'm very, although some days I struggle, you know, some days I do, like anyone. Generally, there's a positive sort of feeling, you know, a sense of goodness, a sense of well-being, I'd call it. And I think that is our natural state as humans, that sense of well-being, that vitality, that life force. And why not have that as a musician, you know? So I've decided, and this isn't judgment, so I've decided to sort of like not be drinking and smoking and doing the typical drugs and all the stuff that people are doing, to see, for one, it feels good, but to see what that brings in the music, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I think the more conscious you are, the more creative flow will
Truly
come.
creative.
Where a lot of people think it's the opposite way, I think it's that way because I've done both, and I know that when I've not been conscious, I've had less energy and less focus and less less intuition and more fear, a lot more fear when I've been out of my head, you know, and I've gone to not nice places, so why would I want to go back there? It's not about judging anybody else doing it, because if anyone else wants to do it, that's fine. That's their choice. Everyone's got a choice. But for me, I just think I'm liking myself more and more the more conscious I become, and the more I'm allowing the healing I'm going through with things recently to push me up, like into a more positive direction, sort of thing. You know,
it does, doesn't it? It makes you stronger, and I think we've had a long history of, and it's, you know, it's not our own fault. Like I think we've had generational trauma and stuff that's made, you know, I can talk about these things. It doesn't feel like a negative thing to me because it's just like, oh, it's just pain, you know, because I'm not feeling as much. I've still got stuff there, you know, but it's not a negative thing. I feel like, yeah, it's all right. But I think it's generational, and I think that we've had to use things to numb and cope for a long, long time, whether that's pharmaceuticals, drugs, food, or whatever. So now it's really funny for me. It would be like, you know, I'll go and get some dates or like some figs down the shop, or like some chocolate. And I'll be like, oh, you know, like, because like there's nothing else left. But it's funny because it's like you say to yourself, like, I'm turning away from all that stuff which doesn't really actually nurture me. I know it will never, ever give me what I truly want, you know, which is love, which is the nurturing that I really need. And why not put all your energy into music? And I think that was I realized I have to make a commitment to this, you know. And while some days I go off the path a bit, you know, I eat some rubbish or whatever, and it does make me feel a little bit like, generally, that vibrancy that comes from like natural foods and stuff, you know, is making me have like all this energy for the music. So it's whatever works, you know, but it's really working for me. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes just like you get high off that stuff, you know, like a juice like carrots and ginger and garlic and beetroot and all that stuff. And I'm like, zing, it's hilarious. So it's really cool.
Okay, there's been a few more questions from viewers. Oh, hi Claire. I'm just gonna. Right. Okay, we have. Have you always? Jane Barnes has asked. Have you always composed music from a young age, and have you always been spiritual?
Well, that's interesting. I think with the music, I started composing stuff when I was about 15, 16, because I got a guitar basically. And my dad gave me a guitar, and then we started jamming together, and I'd see him twice a week. Didn't live with him, but I'd see him twice a week, and we'd jam. I think he was living in a caravan. Poor daddy was didn't have the best place, but he was struggling himself, you know. But still, even though he's struggling, you know, we had this connection. We had this really good musical connection thing going on, and so I think I recorded my first stuff around sort of like 1999, which I must have been about 17, 18 then. So I wish that I had been composing stuff when younger, to be honest. You know, always loved music, was always listening and singing to it, and always had these like really cool like hi-fis and like big speakers. You know, I was always into like getting the, you know, best sound and that, you know. So but yeah, 16 and that, and then I got a computer basically, and it's really funny because this computer, it kept going wrong, and it like I had to learn to fix computers because I wanted to record music, you know, and it was like it was going wrong and that. But my dad gave it to me, and so yeah, I started then, and I can remember layering the tracks up, and you know, getting an acoustic guitar, singing over it, then putting some lead guitar on, and being like, wow, this is cool, you know. And I actually lost some stuff in the beginning. My hard drive died, and I lost like four, and that really sucked because I'm like, I don't even remember what they were, you know, those songs. I didn't have them written down or anything. So it's one of those life mysteries that they are.
You never know, they might come back in a dream.
But in regards to spiritual stuff as well, that was the question, wasn't it? My mum, I think my mum's very, I don't know, she's very into nature, you know. She did Reiki and that, and I can remember us doing Reiki when younger. So I think the need to heal, or the pull towards spirituality was probably from the pain before the difficulties in life, before the difficult experiences. You know, like I was very just loud and proud and just kind of like, all right, you know, and I wouldn't really change anything, even though, you know, sometimes trauma and difficult things take you on a different life path. I think that, how to put it, I think that if you, the plus with doing healing work is that you become stronger than you would have ever been had not had the difficult experience, you know. In other words, there's a diamond to be had from these difficult experiences. And I think that is like, wow, you know, when you get that diamond, and that's what makes people powerful, you know, and they're powerful in a way that they don't need to take power from others because they're more fulfilled in themselves. They're not needing of others, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for the open mics because of that, I've got to say, and people that I know, still friends with now, you know, who supported me in open mics and that. And in the beginning, I needed the attention, I needed that reassurance, you know, but after a while, I was like, yeah, I like what I'm doing, you know, and began to, you know, like what I do in a good way, like love myself. And that's a really cool place to be in because although of course I want attention, of course any musician's like, yeah, you know, I'd love to be on stage, have all this, you know, and be playing to lots of people because it's just such a good feeling. But to not be dependent on, you know, how many likes you've got and all this stuff. I'm not saying I'm there, but I'm more there than I was. And that means you can focus on your craft, on what you're doing, and the realness of what you're doing, rather than getting caught in like, oh, shall I make that a bit more cool, man? So people, you know, you know, let's keep it real, sort of thing. So, and in a way, I think being yourself is really cool anyway. So, if you're truly being yourself and people feel that power in you as you, like that's cool, you know, that is powerful. So,
Sure.
yeah.
So, Maureen says you have so much to give the world. Hi,
Thank you.
Kathy. And Maureen also says you would make a fantastic life coach.
Life coach. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've had doubts about that. I've been trying to get things sorted for that, but with the music as well, you know, it's been a sort of distraction, but I'm trying to run both parallel. So soon I will be sort of offering some healing sessions to people, which is sort of like intuitive sort of led, where I can sense certain things that people may need in their life and give advice with certain things. So I am kind of excited to start doing that actually. So I need to sort of at the moment you wouldn't believe it, I'm really working on like getting past sabotage and stuff, you know, and really trying to cultivate a lot of physical energy to make things happen. Because I find that, you know, the more exercise and stuff I do, the more, you know, strong I am in that way, the more I'm likely to like be bang on it when I've got to sort things out around the house or, you know, get a project done. So having come through, you know, having had been in depression and difficult stuff, it's really cool to feel like, you know, you can actually, you're seeing things unfold, you're seeing your projects come to life, and you're seeing things actually happen, you know, rather than sabotaging yourself. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I do want to do the healing stuff soon. There's a site that I've got called Radiant Vitality where I'm doing a blog about these things and about eating well and what that does to you spiritually and how it affects the mood and all of these things. So very excited about all that too.
I'm gonna have to read more of that. So Andy says, what are the best experiences whilst busking?
Well, me and Andy had a couple of funny ones actually. Oh, what's the best experience? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the children, some of these children, you know, I mean, I think Andy's telling me this as well because he remembers one time when I was playing and this little kid comes up and she puts this little pound coin in the guitar. It was like really cute. It was like, here you go, Jude.
Oh.
And it was just really nice, you know. I think that busking in Glastonbury was really cool because this was like 3-4 months ago, and the festival, you know, when the festival was supposed to be on, and of course the festival wasn't on because of the COVID thing. So there were people there who would normally want some music, you know, and I bought my lovely little Fishman amplifier and had it in the street, and it was really cool because a couple of people joined in with me. I had my bass player friend called Lawrence join in, and a drummer who like we just never met before, and he had this he had a, I think, you know, like the paint bucket things, you know, a bucket basically as his kick drum. It was really like
Cool.
just in the moment, you know. But anyway, and it came together and it sounded really good, and there was just loads of people all down the whole Glastonbury High Street just sort of really enjoying it, and you know, I was just sort of really coming from my heart and just really enjoying the sun and the moment, and it all just came together. That was really cool. And this wasn't strictly busking, but there was a time when I went to an open mic night in South Spain, sorry, after busking, and these couple of ladies who couldn't speak a single bit of English, and I could hardly speak any Spanish, only a little bit, you know. And they were talking to me about the music, and like they were doing this to me and they were saying express, you know, like they were trying to say to me basically, don't be afraid to just do it, you know, just be proud, and she was like, you know, like this. I can't even explain it because, like, you know, I do think in some way there is a programming going through our English culture about sort of like, you know, not sort of shining as much at times. Like there's often a reserved thing, like a held back thing. I don't know if you feel that, but and in their culture, like they're quite expressive, which is really cool for someone like me who needs to be expressive. And they were saying that sort of stuff, you know, and then they kept saying like Paco de Lucia, like, you know, the famous Spanish guitar player, and saying, you know, that they thought I was really good, like him. So that was really nice. They were very genuine people, you know. But just in general, really, there was a couple of nice people who they must have been like 16 or something, and they were really enjoying the music. And then they started sharing my stuff on Instagram and trying to get it out there.
That's cute.
Yeah, they were really lovely. Yeah, and really good people, you know. Yeah, so and just in general, just sometimes I see the kids walk by and I see people who seem a bit depressed and they smile, or I see people who definitely have like a very deep soul to them, and in that moment it's really funny because like I recognize their soul, they recognize me, and something just like happens, like this electric sort of connection thing for a moment. It only happens once in a while, but it's like they know me and I know them, you know. It's really funny. Get that with a few people once in a while.
I'm just seeing if this is going to charge because my phone just said low battery. So
Yeah,
I took my earphones out. Does that still sound
right.
okay?
I see what mine says. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just making sure it's charging. So that it doesn't die. Hang on 1 minute.
That's right. I'll just say about what I love is that I can be really
Back in the
expressive down
room.
the street. You're back.
I'm
You're
back
back.
in the room. What?
What I really like about Glastonbury is that like I can just be silly down the street, you know, and just like sing a song or like, you know, just shout something to my mate, and it's like, you know, people are more accepting of being a bit silly. So this is the thing, you know, no matter where you are, there's something good to be taken from things. And this saying that everything is medicine, which is from the ancestors, and that, you know, what they say. I don't know which tribes, but anyway, it comes from some ancestors. Everything is medicine, you know. So in other words, let's make the most of the experiences, even the dark and difficult ones. If we work with it right, we'll end up stronger through them. They'll, you know, it will end up being a positive thing that comes from what seems to be in the beginning a difficult experience. So in that same way, I was thinking about, you know, I've come here to stay with my mum for a bit, and I was like, I don't like Kent, you know, like Kent is like really boring and normal. But there's something really good about normal, because it's like the normal, you know, this is me judging, sorry, you know, I'm really judging here, but the normal energy means like people are going to get things done, you know, and like they'll say they'll be there when they're there and things like that. So that's a positive of it. Whereas when I was in Glastonbury, it's like so chilled. It's like, you know, yeah, you know, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then maybe they don't, or maybe when they say they're going to jam with you, they'll be there 5 hours later. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's not everyone, but you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
I've learned to try and you've got to make the most of where you are and what you're doing at any time, and not have these excuses in your head like, you know, oh, I'm not going to do that because such and such. As a musician, you just need to keep getting out there and just keep doing it, you know. So goodbye, sabotage.
Well,
Mm.
also, maybe when I come down there and we go and do some of my Kent work stuff,
Yeah,
you might get some different feeling about Kent as well, because that's where all my ancestors are. My mum's side
yeah, that's good.
are, and they're
I
buried in
think
the
that's it.
churches there, you know. And I want to
Oh,
go and see some of that stuff, but I
let's
don't
do
want to
that.
go on my own.
No, I'll go with it.
So, you know, I think it'd be really cool.
Okay, we'll do that. And another interesting thing, let's do that. And also, I've been thinking about doing like an EP or some music in a church, like try and ask to do, because, you know, the reverberation is really cool. Maybe something really different will come out in that situation, you know, so we could see what we could try and do with that. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Mm.
So, where did we get to? Uh, hello, Karen, and I'm not finished yet.
The puppy squealing.
Oh, the puppy's squealing. Can you ask Daddy if he'll just give it a bottle? We're gonna do a tour, hopefully, Maureen, at some point. So,
Yeah, I think that'd be really
go
good
back
actually, wouldn't it?
to what else do you do to help with healing?
To help with healing, what else do I do? Well, that's it really. I mean, I mean, it's interesting really, because for me, you know, I won't go deep into it, but my healing has been a lot with relationships, you know.
Hang on a minute.
So,
Can you just go and ask Daddy to the bottles on the side there? Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that I had a 12-year relationship. It was we did a lot of healing together, and that's what happened with the relationship, which I'm so grateful for, because to be able to express with someone and to be open and
the bottle's in the mug. Sorry, the baby dog needs feeding, so he's just trying to find where the bottle is. Give it to Daddy. I might have to go and get the dog and carry on whilst feeding.
Yeah, do that.
Multitask. Right, just 1 minute.
There's a bit of good delay.
Go and get the puppy dog. You carry on talking and tell everybody else what you're going to tell.
All right. Yeah, so basically, I mean, I've already said a lot about the healing, but yeah, so I connect with these different people, and we just express and talk about whatever it is that needs to be talked about to sort of to clear this stuff out of the way, sort of thing. What's next for RB? What's next for RB? I'm going to try and get on the radio, I think, actually. I need to phone up the radio stations around here. Yeah, thanks, Ian. Yeah, and just try and promote the music, which I have, like, no idea how to do. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, traditionally with music, there was a team, and there was, like, someone's good at marketing, you've got the musicians, you've got the recording engineer, you've got all that, and it's hard to get that together, sort of, unless you know the right people. So, and these days, a lot of people have to do everything themselves. So I've been learning about, like, social media, getting all that stuff out there, adverts, all the stuff that makes you go, which takes up a lot of time, but maybe it's worth it in the long run. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just excited to get out there, really. And I think what's interesting, it's more exciting going on stage and doing stuff when you have been someone who was very afraid of those things than it would have been if you just took it for granted and you just, you just found these things totally easy, I'm in Kent, Sean. Yeah, I'm just in near Ashford in Kent. It's not too bad. I quite like Clive and Folkestone. They're pretty nice. Folkestone's got a nice little vibe to it. It's by the sea. How's Puppy?
Ready for his bottle, I think. So I'm going to feed the bottle to the baby. What I'm going to do is just grab my stand and move where I'm sitting. So that
I'll get this ready to do a song. I'll do a little. I'm going. Flamenco. Yeah, Jane. Oh, yeah. All right. Speaking of flamenco, this isn't really flamenco, but I started doing this when I was in Spain. I'll do this little track.
Whoa.
light through the darkness inside. Oh, your peace will subside. Send a message to my soul. I got to rise. Oh, your light will shine. Don't you worry about my wish away. Oh, your peace will shine. Send a message to my soul. Time to rise again. I gotta say, oh, your light will shine. Send a message to my soul. Time to rise. I gotta say, oh, your years will subside. People growing so to me high. Oh, your light will shine. Don't you worry, don't you ever miss your way. Oh, your peace will subside. Send a message to my soul. Time to rise. It's what's meant to be now. So meant to be.
Whoa, that was amazing.
It's got to be tight, that song. It's like,
Well, I'm feeding the baby.
I want to go to Spain. Now it's getting cold in England.
Yeah. So, who are your inspirational singer-songwriters?
Singer-songwriters. This was the. I did actually see the questions that you'd done, just a quick brief look through, but I thought I'm not even going to think about them. And then when you were like singer-songwriters, I'm like, well, it's mostly bands that I like, you know, and I'm thinking,
That's right.
Bob Dylan? No, not Bob Dylan. It's funny actually, you know, thinking of Bob Dylan, his songs are really good, but I don't really like his voice very much. But I really appreciate some of his songs. I've got one here actually that was someone else covered, but yeah, so it's just bands and music really. I mean, yeah, I really like Santana quite a lot because of the Latin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved all the old school sort of like, you know, Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and all that, as I said earlier. And all the Motown soul and all that. And I really liked Jimi Hendrix a lot. But have you ever sung about an elephant? I think so.
That's better.
Yeah, I mean, I had times of liking modern bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine, like heavy stuff and all of it really, you know, gone through a lot. I suppose someone who's more like a singer-songwriter would be Van Morrison. I like his Moondance album a lot because my auntie used to play that a lot, and that's a lovely album, that one. And I like jazz a lot these days, you know, a lot of jazz. There's a guy called Horace Silver who's really, really good. Jane might know him. If you know Horace Silver, check him out because he's got his piano player. He plays Latin with a bluesy feel and jazz, and so it's like sort of jazz that's more accessible, you know. But yeah, just there's so many bands really, it's ridiculous. It's hard to really nail it down to anything that
What are
really.
your goals for the future music? For your future in music?
Well, it's interesting because when I saw myself in the future, I felt like I'd be happy to just be someone that other musicians felt comfortable to be around, and like I wasn't judging them, and that they could, I don't know if there's the right word, confide in, you know, they felt like they could get ideas from me, you know, like I wasn't just too up my own ass that, that I was too on with my thing, you know, like trying to get famous or something stupid, you know, but actually was to be just respected for what I do, but not because I'm desperate for respect, but just because I'd like to be in that position where I can just sort of say that it would be nice to have a musician to be like, oh, I'll bring Ricky in, you know, I'd like him to sing on my song, or I'd like him to do whatever because it will work with the song. And so I think that's quite a nice thing. But the other part of me would like to, yeah, just be out there doing music professionally more, singing on people's songs, playing guitar on people's songs, get a good band together, definitely. I need to get a good band together, really. And I'd like to just like tour everywhere, you know, go bloody. I want to go to Peru, like, you know, just South America, go everywhere.
Yeah.
That would be ace, I think.
Peru's
That's probably one of my dreams, you know. And I'd like to meet some of the other musicians, you know, like the ones that I've loved as a kid, but also modern ones, like, you know, like that Rising Appalachia, like more spiritual music, people who are doing stuff currently, you know, and like go to play at festivals that they play at.
Yeah.
So that's like a really exciting idea for me. That would be like a dream thing to do it, really, and get some albums professionally released. Yeah.
So, what would you like to achieve in the next 5 years?
Those things, really. But it's funny because outside of music, but would help it, I've felt a real call to be in the deep jungle. I mean, I'd love to stay in a community or something, you know, on some land that's more pristine, and use that time for doing the things like we said, you know, doing healing work, for working on the land. I do enjoy doing stuff with the land, and I enjoy building things as well. So there's a lot of things outside of music I enjoy, but it would be really nice to be in a space like that and really draw from the earth, draw from the nature, the lush nature, to be surrounded in that. And you reminded me of an ultimate goal here, which would be to own some land and start a healing retreat center that was for arts and music and healing, you know, and health and all those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
And my ideal place would be like, you know, like Hawaii or somewhere a bit tropically maybe, but not the extreme heat like some of the Indonesia, or, you know, not like the 40s degrees or whatever, like, you know, somewhere where there's a lot of good food growing, you know, and create a place where musicians, especially musicians who are more on the sensitive side, can come to do their music and not feel like they're in a big city where it's like, you know, they've got the stress of getting into the city and, you know, there's no nature around. So a more relaxed feeling that's conducive for creating music that's more of a spiritual nature,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't necessarily have to appears spiritual. It's just music that's from the heart, I suppose, is what I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
rather than like really commercially driven. So I think my ideal thing would be to start up like a record label and have a studio in that space. People come for healing, but they also do music, which is healing as well, and you know, yoga and all that stuff. That'd be really cool. So there's a dream put out there.
Ask the universe.
I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you, too?
Well,
Same thing.
it is, you know, I was actually talking about it earlier with someone because I wrote almost what you've just said down about
Thank you.
1999, 1998.
Yeah.
So, and I think all
Wow.
the things what have been happening in my life since are all little things that are teaching me things that I need for it when I get there. You know, even things like bender camp where I've learned how to build benders, and you know, work I've done on the van. I've learned how to insulate, and you know, I've learned how to use an angle grinder and how to use tools and stuff like that. And there's lots of different things that are like all become things that I'm gonna need.
Yeah.
For when I do get my land, because I will get my land. You know, so and obviously the work with the goats and the chickens and the lambs and the pigs.
That's it.
That I've done here on a small scale. Learn how to make cheese and stuff like that. You know, all things that are part of self-sufficiency.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it? I just feel like it's the way forward, really. And I want to sort of bring that message in the music. And I'm going to bring it in a way which isn't like, you know, like preaching at people to do whatever. It's coming from, because I think sometimes with some of the music, it's like it's coming from a place of where people think, what, you know, you should be doing this or we should be doing that, you know, it's like, and that's all right. But I think when people, what's the word, when people sort of like they still carry bitterness, they still carry sort of unhappiness, it's easy for them to be like really militant on things like, you know, everyone should be vegan or like all this, you know, like it's like they're not realizing it's coming from their pain. And you know, it's good to come from a balanced place with these things. So what I want to do is like bring the truth into the music, but not in a way which is like bashing anyone or saying let's fight against the government or any of these things. You know, like I had people say to me, why don't you do like politics in your, you know, like, and I'm like, no, it's not the vibe. It's about love for me, you know. So at least I know it's about love, you know. And I think probably similar for you if you're singing, it's just about enjoyment, love. It's about those things and the belief that those things can help the world in themselves. So
yeah, definitely. Has anybody else got any more questions? Because we've done all the questions as we've flowed through, and I've only got one more question for you.
Yeah, that's all right. We've been on quite a while.
So, whether you want to do one more song, or do you want me to do the last question, and then you do a song, and then we say goodnight to everyone?
Let's do it that way. That's good.
So, last question is, you've got one wish. What will it be?
I don't know.
That's a hard one, I know.
That's it's well, I think it would be good if and I think it will, you know, ideally if life continues to evolve on this planet and, you know, it sort of doesn't get destroyed by our crazy ways, or life in the universe just continues, you know, because it is pretty special, and you know, I think that you know, for some of us, we sort of lack that. Jane's saying about singing about meerkats here. To sing about meerkat, that's my dream.
I want to hear the meerkat
That's right,
song
Jane.
now.
Yeah, I just pray that it continues to evolve. Really, even if this planet kind of like dies out, then that there's more life that carries on. I would write a book. I would, and I have sort of started. But it's just I really struggle with just like consistency and focus. So I need to get focused enough to like really. Then again, saying that I do have a good excuse because I was traveling the last few years, and you know how trying to write a book while you're traveling is just like pain in the ass, you know, when you're living in a tent. So I'm a bit more settled now. But yeah, I probably would, and it would cover a lot of different things, you know, which would be really cool. So yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. Quite interested in doing that. Because I think life experience, you know, can be valid, you know, what we've learned. Hey, mum. My mum's just come back in. So what do you say then? One more song?
One more song, and then we'll say goodnight to everybody.
Okay.
It's been an awesome
So,
evening so far, by the way. I've really, really enjoyed the whole thing, and I'm sorry I had to wash off and feed the baby.
that's okay. I've enjoyed it very much too. I just imagine you doing that, writing a book. Oh, thanks, Jane. Yes, yeah, let's do that. I think I need to do that. Yeah. Oh, damn, I was going to play it, but I've got to play the one that you said, and I just realised.
No. Play what you want.
I might have to do two. I might have to do Sunrise after.
Okay.
And then we'll go out.
Okay.
Let's have a look. What we got here? Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll do a short one, right, and then I'll do Sunrise last. That's cool. So yes, one more. Thank you. Yeah. Right. So this is about people getting me wrong, and it's a sort of like slightly rebellious kind of thing. I don't know, but I like it. And I've been playing this for years now, but it's still like getting better over time. So the lyrics are coming together, you know. Here we go. Well, I spent my life drifting away, smoking and drinking my life away. All the work that we did together got way too much for me. I had to find some relief from this pain. Your love was the only thing to bring me back from misery. Spent so many months and days feeling sorry for myself. Feel lady, tell me not to worry no more. Just believe in myself. Don't let the frowns drag me down. You got me all wrong. Hey, what's your trouble now? Why can't you tell? I'm sorry, living my life my own way. Living my life my own way. I got to move on down that line. Don't like it, stop. Time to live my life with strength inside my soul. Wasted I was lazy, I just stayed in bed. So damn lazy, boy, you're wasting your life away. Moving around in the wrong side of town. Why don't you get yourself together now? Why can't you see what's going down? I said I got my own life to live. I got my own game to play. Don't live it my own way. If you don't like the way I'm living, well, I guess it's time I'll move on. I got to move on.
inside. I can't keep it another way. Living my life my own way. Living my life my own way. Yeah. I got to say that. Living my life, but you inside. I got to push on down that line. Yeah, there ain't nothing gonna be great. You will never drag me down. Living my life my own way. Living my life with you inside my soul. Don't like it, get on my way. Time to leave, baby, Climbing on down that line, ain't no turning back now. Got to free my soul again. Yeah. I'll leave these old days behind and go behind. Right, last one. This one is for you.
I loved it on my birthday. It's so beautiful.
Cool. Okay, here we go. See if I can breathe. I've got the windows open here because I find the airflow helps with the singing. I'll tell you a funny thing. I've been sleeping in the tent sometimes, even though I've got the place to stay in here, just because the whole night I've got good air, and I feel like when I sleep on the earth, it's like, oh, it's such a weird thing. It's like you lay down, and you're just like, oh, you know, when you normally get in the bed and you just like you've had a hard day, and you just like, oh my God, thank you. I feel like that, but even more when I go and sleep on the earth, you know. So whatever it is, it works. Sunrise, I'm lighting up my day. It's been a long time coming, but I finally see this light. You know, coming back to my face where for the seasons they have changed now. And I know that nothing was said I say. You don't come and brighten up this world. It's been a long time coming, but I finally see this light. All I know is that the nation doesn't say I'm never gonna lose your way. I got to say, all I know is that the nation don't ever lose your way. Oh, not this time. Won't lose your light again.
believe we gotta make the church up. Say you go, show us what it should be like. Say now, for the seasons they have to change. And I know this life will never stay the same. No, no. Sunrise, coming bright to left my life. It's been a long time with these inside, but I got to rise. All I know is a great job. Oh, and I'm gonna lead your way. I got to say, all I know is love is yours, and you'll never go astray. I don't want to stay. Through all this pain, we'll rise again, see the truth. You can sleep for a long time. I got to say that for all your losses and all your woes, there will be an angel waiting by your side. I got to say that for all you lost and all you won will be yours to have while you sit under the sun and have your fun. All I know now is God has come and grace your soul. And I said, it's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. We're heaven and earth. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. We all gonna let you live for life. Don't you ever say it's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. Bright and beautiful. It's the way the universe. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. I got to say I know it's right. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. It's gonna be a bright and beautiful day. We're having any other it's the way I do my soul. We all got a lot to live for now. Bright and beautiful, we're never any other way. I believe in this day, gonna be like 10, 15 miles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Never gonna come high. Well, beautiful is the way I can use my soul. I wouldn't have it any other way now. Wouldn't have it any other way. Sunrise, coming brighten up this day. It's been a long time coming, but I
finally see you change. I said, new dawn, come and brighten up this world.
Thank you. I love that song.
Oh,
It's so lovely.
thank you too.
It was eight.
That was great. How are you doing?
Yeah, that was amazing. I love that song.
Good.
Thank you everyone for watching us and all the questions and all the love hearts that you've been sending up. It's been lovely. So
Thank you.
and I'll
That's great.
speak to you soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Good night from me. And it's good night from him.
Lots of love, people. Take it easy. Thanks. Loads. See you later. Bye bye.